So it's this will be the next part to what I was talking about with the dating stuff. Basically, I mentioned that there was of course we're going to talk about how I said the alternative that I have sort of formulated, or the thing that I think works and that sort of fits biblically with the way that things should happen. And then we'll get into, I mentioned last time that there's one specific part of, or it falls into everything, but there's one specific part of it that applies to a principle, a translation that I kind of just throw into the idea. But so, to recap from last time, basically, one of the ideas that I feel is different from a lot of people in regarding my perspective on things is my perspective on dating. I don't date. I don't think it is an effective way to go about finding a spouse. And even in that sense, that's not even what it is these days. It's more so a game. It's more so a fling for fun for however long it lasts, and sometimes it turns out good in the sense that, you know, the relationship stays intact for a very long time, that a family is built in a quasi family because they're not married but they have kids and everything, and it works, quote unquote. And then of course some of them, they do get married after finally deciding that they should, and you know. But so in hopes of rectifying that stuff, I see dating, or as some people might call it, courtship. By today's standards, it would be very structured, but even some people might just go about their dating in this same way. But so basically, in my head, if two people are like each other, if two people have feelings for each other, a mutual linkage, we'll figure out what to call it as we go, but if that's there, then there is no obligation whatsoever to oblige those feelings, of course, right? And that happens all the time, especially if it's not mutual. I like you. Oh, sorry, I kind of don't like you. So then, whatever happens. But nothing gets to that hyper platonic level that I was talking about last time. But if they do both like each other, then, you know, 9 times out of 10 they just go for it, and it's so now we're dating because we both feel like we should be more than friends. We both want our relationship, our friendship, to go to the next level. Like I said, it doesn't have to happen. There's nothing that says that has to happen if there's a mutual linkage. But that being said, it very well can happen. And so if you did want to do that, if both parties did want to do that, then for me, then there are boundaries that are kept. Because if both people have liked each other, you know, longer than just the day that they told them about it, then obviously they have been restraining some boundaries in that time. Because, I mean, let's be honest, when we do, like when there's a linkage, and especially if it's mutual, then it's much easier to cross certain boundaries. And that's why people like to open those areas up in those hyper platonic modes. But so you keep the boundaries, with the mutual understanding of linkage, and the mutual understanding that what we're looking for here is to get married. Now, the Bible says that if Paul talks about it, saying it's better if you remain as I am. He was single. He was single at the time. But if you burn with lust, it's better that you get married. So what he's saying is, it's not that being single is better than being married. Obviously, God instituted marriage, but his point was that in terms of serving the Lord and being fully devoted to what God's will is for you, now you have to sort of share that with your spouse, because now the two have become one. So it's not just you that you're worried about necessarily. It's now your wife or your husband. But anyway, so that's the idea with that. But the part that we're concerned about here is that if you burn with lust, get married. So that is to say, if you cannot control your boundaries, basically, or just that you know, if you have become assured in that this is, a good thing to pursue, quote unquote, and that it's, you burn with lust, then just get married. There is a priority to be had, and it only comes when you're married. That union, that bond, the two become one. The man shall leave his parents and cleave to his wife. That kind of stuff. So, back to what we were talking about, the progression then. So you have this mutual understanding of linkage and of holding these boundaries, and the boundaries are held respective to another biblical principle of do not give any appearance of evil. And all that says is basically, one of the things that I've talked about before is just, I'm not going to do anything that makes me look like everybody else. I'm not going to do something that makes people look at me and they're like, oh, he's a Christian and he does that, must be okay then. And so just not giving the appearance of evil with the way that you behave in this relationship. And really a lot of for me, it's almost like you're just still friends, but you're looking at the prospect of getting married. And I've seen when I was in high school, I had read about this in the old days, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, when there was this stage of courtship where it was like this compatibility stage. It was like a trial where they would take the two people, and the ones that were possibly looking to be married, they were maybe they were engaged, maybe not, but they would go through these like different tests and like trials, like intentional situations that would reveal the true colors of the person, basically, and just to see how compatible they were, like if they and basically what it was you were looking to see if you would be willing to deal with the things about the other person that weren't so good, that you didn't like, and if you at the end of it, that the two of you were like, okay, like, yeah, we're compatible enough, like we can tolerate each other enough, then you would move forward with the thing. and the way that I look at this stuff is, it's sort of like that. Like, you kind of have to be sure, that just because there's a mutual linkage doesn't mean that for sure, like, this is gonna work out, like that we understand each other enough that it will work. And on top of that, it has to be the Lord. It has to be God that brings this together. Because if it's not His will, if it's not His way, then it's not gonna work. Not work the best way. Because like I said, it has worked with people not seeking, even, not even being followers of Christ. But this would be the most effective way to do it. And the way that you support that, those two things of keeping the accountability in terms of the boundaries and keeping the focus straight, is that you have other people around you helping you out with this, helping the two people out with this, preferably their families, that their families would be involved and supportive of this and be seeking God about the relationship as well. And then so you set this sort of timeline of, okay, so at the end of this, whatever it is, couple months, then we'll decide if we want to follow through with this, or if maybe we'll wait a little longer. We'll wait a couple years, what have you, and then, or if we do decide, if everybody agrees that the Lord is moving this forward and that things are falling into place, in terms of how He's leading the individuals, and that in terms of marriage, the picture is always, if the two of you are moving towards God, then you'll always be moving in the same direction. And that's with anybody, really. But so with marriage specifically, if God is leading one person, to be a missionary in a foreign country, and the other person God is leading to not do that, then maybe it's not necessarily supposed to be that, just those things that you look for, and that you have this support group per se around you, this accountability, this fence around you, to keep things moving in the right direction, to keep things moving with a proper mentality, and to keep an eye on the lust that comes with the linkage. That's a good term, right? Linkage, mutual linkage. Anyway, so then at the end of those, if it works, then you get engaged, and then you set a date and you get married, and from that point, now back to the, now it's your marriage that sustains your love, and God will respect that union because you're married now, and it's His will that married people stay married. And then, of course, because you've had this other group of people around you this whole time along the way, now you have those other people, at the ceremony, all of these witnesses. If there's any objection, speak up now. Like, all of this stuff falls into place. That the whole reason that there are witnesses at the wedding, witnessing the union, is to attest to it, so that there was no excuse to break it off. That was the whole thing. That's why it was, if anybody has an objection to this before it happens, speak up now, because once it happens, it's done. And everybody that was at that wedding is supposed to be the people that looks at them when they're going through a rough time and says, you made this choice in front of God and all these witnesses. So I'm here to be there for you when to be there for you guys in your marriage and stuff. And that's something that's missing a lot these days. And in some cases for the right reasons, in some cases for the wrong reason. But we might have to go a third. This is kind of long. yeah, we might have to go a third. And we'll get to the principle. And I can explain more the principle after this. So yeah, I guess you're gonna have to wait. I don't wanna make this super long, so we'll stop there and we'll see. Guarantee I'll finish the story, you know, that I'll finish what I'm saying. Anyway, okay. I gotta go finish some other stuff up, so I'll see you guys next time.